Hey everybody, it's me Ryan Tanguma, and I am going to be remaking a tutorial on sim on animating simple character movement using motion tween because Google's being a bunch of idiots saying I don't have the rights to monetize that video, even though I created the material in the video, well, for the video. So, first I'm going to remake the model. Um, Okay, now that I have the character model done, let's on to the main part, which is animating the motion tween. So first I'm going to select all and scale it to where it's all on the stage. Right click all layers, copy frames, and convert it to a symbol character. Insert layer. I'm going to insert 8 of them. Well, 7 to make 8 paste frames. And now the character model will be able to snap to the original origin. So just select that, drag them down, and now, since this is a graphic symbol, it's going to show what's animated on the inside. So for the timeline, you just need to add the amount of frames. So let's say 20 frames. That means that you can make the animation as long as you want. For this, I'm going to make a simple walking animation. So create classic tween on all the frames and all the layers. Then on frame 20, just click and hold, and it'll insert keyframes for all the specific parts. Lock those. And okay, copy these and paste them where the arm is in the back. Since it's the same thing, you can get away with that. Now here comes the second part, which is editing the tween in inner keyframes. I'm going to move the front arm back. And we're going to move the back arm forward. Make sure they at least line up pretty well. Again, this model isn't perfect or even near perfect, so it's not going to look good, or too good anyways. But that's where you come in. You can take the time to make it perfect. This is just to show you how to animate the movement. Start keyframes. So keyframe. And for walking, hair usually doesn't do too much, but I'll do it just in case. Copy the starting motion again. And this is on frame 5, so move to frame 10. Paste frames. And clear the keyframes after it because they're just the original. Then on this, copy the frames, paste them on frames in layers of 15, but instead take the back arm, while the front arm, and switch it with the back arm. Paste in place. Front leg, move to the back leg, and vice versa. And since that's shown through, I'll just tweak the original part. Clear keyframe. And now since frame 20 is exactly like frame 1, but frame 15 is the in-between motion, instead of going back, I'm going to see what this motion is. Well, tweak it first. Then when I get finished with this, the arm's going to be moving back. So instead of doing that, I'm going to zoom in, take the arm, and move it up just one area. Lock it, and hide this. This arm will be moving back, well, forward, so move it back one. And as for the legs, the one in front is going to be moving back. So select, move forward one space, or two works just as well when you're zoomed in this much. And now that that's done, go back into your main timeline. And the animation is already pretty much done, but to do the whole walking animation, have your starting frame with the character off on one side, this will show that they're walking and walking on and walking off. On the last frame, have them off on the other side. And before you do that, you can change your frames per second. 24 would make it 0.8 seconds. 20 would make it 1 second since there are 20 frames. Otherwise it says 0.9 seconds. So now we test scene. And there's a walking animation. It's fast, so if you want to make it slower, you can either go in and add more frames. Like here I can see there's 1 frame missing. I'll make it 21. But the other way is to reduce the amount of frames per second, so I'll reduce it down to 10. So test scene, and you can see it's a lot slower, but you don't really want to have 10 frames per second. Usually you want to have 20 to 30, unless you're working for companies that want you at 500 frames per second. That's a lot of work. So, also the difference between adding frames, or increasing or decreasing frames per second versus inserting frames, is that with inserting frames, the movement will be smoother. With decreasing frames per second, it makes the animation slower, so you can notice that there are a lot more issues. See? It's still moving a little fast. But that's because this is not equal to the amount of frames. There are 37. So I'll move it to 37. And I'll just make the amount of frames the same for all layers. And you can see it moves at a nicer pace. And the tweens are, well, they're more solid, but they're not too good still because it's not perfect. But that's animating simple movement. Now lastly, when you're walking, you usually have a tendency to have a little bit of bounce. So select all, and I move it down 3 paces, well 3 spaces, maybe 4. Now control test scene, and you can't really notice it too well, but the character is bouncing down a little. You can bring it down even more. Control the scene, and you can see that the character actually bounces when he walks now. He or she, there's no face, so you can't tell. But that's it for this tutorial. I hope you found it useful. Again, not like Google's having mental issues. But if you found it useful, please subscribe and comment below on if you'd like to see another tutorial on Flash. I will see you later, and Jamata.